I'm going to allow you to come into my brain for a moment. Just give me black eye, I think, and I apologize in advance.
It sounds kind of, poetic. I'm feeling like I could run through a wall here. No, I would rather touch my penis in bed at 6 o'clock in the morning. No,
I would also rather touch his penis. Ew.
Yeah, well, I got a king-size bed, nobody around at 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. What you do?
You haven't lived life till you rip the asshole out of a deer.
I've never been to almost a restaurant. Food's always on my.
I was gonna say, if you say you've never been to a restaurant, I'm calling bullshit.
Yeah, never been to it. Well, in fact, I've got a bag of Arby's just sitting right here.
He has the meats.
I know. I had the meats. They're now coagulated inside of me. Did he say in sodomy?
And his car smells like Pepe Le Pew's been having an orgy in there. Like, it is just, it's
rough. Weird flex.
The realm of beard loss, a trio strong and true. Yuban, Brandon, and beard loss with tales both old and new. Their whiskers like a forest, their knowledge like a stream, guiding us through beardom and culinary dream. Beard loss, the sage of facial grace, with whiskers flowing, setting the pace. Yuban, the jester in clouds of green, laughs and wisdom and sight unseen. Brandon J. McDermott, food daddy supreme, a feast of facts, a culinary dream.
We pressed it. There's no giggling. There's no coughing. We just straight went through it. And that was a cool little intro, I think, anyways. But let's go ahead and just let's do this, because I'm gonna humble brag a little bit because I'm truly honored. But Deluxe Edition Network, we're on there. Maybe I have 2 or 3 shows on there, but we have a couple of different shows. But the podcast of the month, as always, we tell you, is the Graveyard Club Terror Tuesday. Feeling that little spooky, you want to get in the Halloween mood, go over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. Check them out. Shout out to the Beyond the Box podcast as well. But I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but on their Instagram, their Facebook, they're really trying to get to 1,000 on the Deluxe Edition and all that stuff, so they can start to monetize, which I don't know. I guess that's cool, but the beard loss stuff, we don't monetize anything. But either way, go follow them so they can hit those goals. But they do a podcaster of the week, and somebody here was podcaster of the week. For whatever reason, they put me as podcaster of the week. So at the time of this recording, it's over. It was last week. It's old news. There's a new podcaster of the week, but make sure you guys go check it out and support the podcaster of the week, because maybe it's going to be this guy over here. Maybe it'll be that guy over there. Who knows?
Hey.
I'm going to allow you to come into my brain for a moment. Just give me black eye, I think, and I apologize in advance. You said Beyond the Box. Is that a podcast? What is that again exactly?
It's a mental health podcast where it opens a dialogue for conversations and social norms.
I'm sure it is wonderful, and this is not an indictment on them or their name or anything like that, and I please ask you for forgiveness before I say this. But when I heard it, I thought immediately to myself, a conversation between a man and a wife, and she's had a little visit from a certain family member, an aunt, we'll say, who's flown in, if you get my drift. And he's just pleading with his wife, honey, we just have to think beyond the box. Thank you. And I apologize.
No, if you're thinking that, 90% of men, I mean, let's be honest, when you hear the word box, you think female parts. At least most guys, I would have to imagine, as the 3 of us are shaking our heads.
Absolutely.
That said, all the respect to folks who start a podcast that is about mental health. That is stuff that's serious and people need. So congratulations.
Yep, and it's interesting, or it's a pretty good thing too here, because where I live, and I know you're in a small town, you've lived in small towns. There's not a lot of podcasts, and there's not a lot of advocates for mental health, and it's still that whole like tough guy, don't be a pussy, you don't need that, just have a beer and a smoke and just figure it out, it is what it is, or whatever the hell people say. But so it's a good thing, you know what I mean? And speaking of small towns, I don't know, it's hunting season just kind of ramping up here, and it's like a whole bunch of my buddies I won't see for a while. And like we were talking before we pressed record, how football and our families are kind of like, do you have to watch all the football? But up here it's like all of these guys are hunting, and that's what they do, hunting season at camp and this and that. And I'm not a hunter, all right? And I'm sitting here before the show, we're press recording, and I mean, there's just gunshots everywhere. And I'm not making any jokes about where there's lots of gunshots. There's a lot of shitty things going on in the world. Don't want that to get taken the wrong way. But it's like, fuck, you know what I mean? I watch football for a couple hours in a studio, have a couple beers. These guys, I have to imagine, are using this whole like hunting thing to get away from life, to get away maybe for their mental health, get away from the families. When they're going to camp, they're just getting fucking hammered. Sometimes they don't even go out and shoot some shit. I mean,
Right.
I mean, you guys don't hunt, do you?
No.
It's
I
just
don't
one
have
thing.
anything against hunting.
Same.
I just never. Here's my thing. I don't like waking up very early and going out into, this is fishing too, and going out into wilderness and waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say waiting's the hardest part.
I mean, I let's go out and have a cigar, maybe drink a little bit. And I know drinking happens, but you can't smoke a cigar when you're hunting, you know,
Right.
or other things, you know, right, Yuban?
Exactly. And that's usually whenever I'm out immediately. They're like, hey, you can't smoke that. And I'm like, then you can't enjoy my presence. And not that, they're like, hey, you want to get up super early and cover yourself in the piss of the animal we're getting ready to destroy. And I'm like, it sounds kind of, poetic. I'm feeling like I could run through a wall here. No, I would rather touch my penis in bed at 6 o'clock in the morning. No,
I
thank
would
you.
also rather touch his penis. Ew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Well, I got a king size bed. Nobody around at 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. What you do?
Wasn't expecting you to say bed after you said king size. Well, I got a king size.
Yeah.
What?
No, the other thing's a fun size.
Well, that and like one of the things that these guys they kid about, and I think they really like, is when you shoot a deer. At some point, they make tools, and you have to rip the asshole out. And like they're just like, you haven't lived life till you rip the asshole out of a deer. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm living an okay life if I've never ripped the asshole out of a deer. I mean,
Yeah. And honestly, that could be taken many different ways. It could also be lonely. Oh, I went home last night and I ripped the asshole out of a deer.
yeah. I mean,
Good
shout
deal.
out to the people that make a whole living just working hunting season, skinning deer and cutting deer up and fucking the fly. Did you see that?
That was a kamikaze. That was direct. That was personal.
Yeah, man. But yeah, I don't know. So it's hunting season, and like I said, at the time of this is released a couple of days from now on the 21st, I'm having like a Halloween party / birthday parties for a whole bunch of people. And people are like, oh, I can't believe you're having a fucking opening day of rifle or something. I was like, oh, sorry. But there is 4 different grocery stores. Like if you don't make it out, you could go buy some food. They're like, what do you mean, man? You know how cheap it is? We can feed our family. I was like, yeah, but you had to spend how much in hunting gear and guns and ammo and this and that. Like I said, I'm all about it. Go for it. But I think the big thing is I'm kind of bitter because I love venison. Nobody's hooked me up with some fucking venison. And maybe I'm saying it wrong, on the East Coast to the West Coast, but I love deer meat. Holy shit, do I love it.
So, some of the best summer sausage I have ever had in my life was deer sausage. Moist and delicious and just, oh man, to die for.
The jerky. Oh, baby.
Oh, I love me some jerky too. Summer sausage or jerky, any of that kind of stuff is just right up my alley.
Have you guys ever had buffalo jerky?
I haven't. I've had buffalo, but I haven't had it in jerky.
Now that is some good stuff. It's very good.
Mm.
Damn.
You've had buffalo burgers?
I think I've had one buffalo burger before.
A little more lean than beef, but still flavor-wise, it's good.
Had a ton of buffalo wings.
I've had some buffalo babes in my day.
Oh yeah, to keep you warm in the winter.
That's right. Eat 1 or 2 of them.
So I was scrolling through the internet the other day, and there was a kid, 15-year-old, goes to the same school that the oldest kid goes to, and the wife and stuff teaches at. Kid shot a bear, like in his area. Guess how much this fucking bear weighed?
I'm so bad at this stuff. I'm gonna say a number, and I know it's gonna be like a third of probably what it actually is. I'm gonna say 1,100 pounds.
I was gonna say 1,200.
Okay. That would be really big. This was huge. It was 485 pounds.
See.
So maybe I built it up a little bit, but this thing is a monster. Could you imagine? And this is again 3 dudes that don't hunt. So if you're listening to this because you want this to be a super manly podcast, we'll make up for it in a conversation a little bit later of us being manly or something. But 15 years old. Shot a fucking 500-pound animal. And this is the type, and I saw the picture, recognized the kid because just watching sports and stuff at the school, recognized him a little bit. And this is the type of family that will use every piece of that bear and like eat it. You know what I mean? Like they're small. They will, if somebody's going to do it, but I went there for the comments, and I wish I had enough give a fuck to go into these comments, and it's just like, poor bear, can't believe they killed the bear. And then you have the other people, overpopulation, haven't you heard of that? And then it's like, well, people are overpopulated. And then it just started like the IQ in this chat of hundreds and hundreds of comments was probably 12 total. I mean,
I had a conversation with a guy this week, and I can't remember what it's called, but there's an internet phenomenon, and it's in every internet chat, live posts, comment section, doesn't matter. People want one of two things. They want an apology or they want to fight. They want one of two things. They want to fight and an apology.
Yep. And
so that's why, and I know we don't like getting into this, and so I want to steer clear of it a little bit, but as a creator, part of what we try to do is not necessarily be somebody who's farming for engagement, but to be somebody who wants to create a natural engagement. Hey, I'm going to post this photo of this food, and I hope people like it. And what makes me laugh the most is when it's a post that I'm not even trying to be, controversial on, and then they jump in and they're like, "Hey, you idiot." Those make me laugh the most. Anyway, sorry.
No, and I had I've been using AI obviously for a lot of the clips and stuff like that. And one of the ones that we did at some point that we were talking about like stalking or whatever, and it came over stocking or stock instead of stock. And there was all these comments of just like, stock, this guy can't spell. And it was just like you said, this natural engagement of people that just feel like they have to shit on somebody because they spelled it wrong, used the wrong word or something. And I just wanted to be like, it's AI, motherfucker. But thank you for commenting.
Yeah, just you should have apologized, man. You should apologize and grovel. Yes, that's what you should have.
And it's always like on ESPN too. If I'm just trying to check like the score of a game, then everyone's like, "Hey, here's my religious belief, my political belief. Here's all this stuff," and I'm like, "What the fuck was the score of the game? I don't give a shit. I just want to see that." And it's every time. And then half the time, like you said, you go into a video just trying to check the comments to see if there's funny comments in there, and it's completely off topic. And you're like, where the fuck did this even come from?
Yeah. And when you're watching streams on there and they have the chats on the streams, it is some of the scary, because you have to imagine most of them are like the youth of America and how dumb these people are, or bots or something. It is a scary fucking place.
Yes.
Scary place. Yeah. But speaking of bears too, real quick, I just want to, I want to apologize and feel super sincere for Alaska, because apparently their popular Fat Bear Week could be postponed if the government shuts down. So I know there's going to be a lot of people that are there, and that's just a headline that I was scrolling right now and it caught my eyes. I have no idea. Do you guys even know what a Fat Bear Week is?
No.
So it's apparently a crowd-pleasing Alaska tradition, Fat Bear Week. So it's the most watched popularity contest. Fat Bear Week involves residents picking their favorite fat brown bear who's been stocking up for winter by getting salmon in a national park. I'm not going to try to say that. That's a tough one. But apparently they view it online. Okay. And then they vote in a tournament-style bracket for those that they want to advance to the next round until there's a champion. They had over 1 million votes last year.
That's actually pretty cool.
It is. It brings up two things, one to tie into it and one to transition from that story. Have you ever seen, like during this time of year, of course, it's getting colder, animals that don't fly away or migrate to another place during the wintertime have to fatten up because they hibernate. Have you ever seen a fat squirrel?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh my God, I love it. Oh, they're like just so chonky. It's like, holy shit. Well, oh man, I feel like I'm at home because I too am a fat boy. But also yesterday saw a hawk flying, big fucking hawk. And I was like, oh my God, does that bird have a tail? It's crazy. It had picked up a fucking squirrel. It was flying in my town, dude. Not out in the middle of nowhere. In my town, just not that, you can't have nature happening inside of a town. But still, I was like, wow, that's some pretty metal shit.
I thought you were going to say it was his penis. And I was like, wow, that's a big hawk dick.
So
I just randomly clicked on the link for the live streams to the bear shit. 351 people are currently watching a live stream of this bear, Brooks Falls in the national park in Alaska. And they have all these highlights. I mean, they're showing big ass bears swimming, catching fish. It's it's a thing. But if you guys want to, go to explore.org live cams. Brown bear salmon cam Brook Falls. That's what it is. And I know we have your excitement now that we said something about live cams, but it's about bears. If you're just skip through for a little bit, it's bears. And highly recommend that you do not go into the wild and try to get some footage, because I've seen some shit with when bears attack. I think that's a show, but either way. Yeah, so you had a cool experience, Brandon, this weekend. You were able to MC and introduce a couple of bands and some stuff. If it's something you want to talk about, cool. If it's
Yeah.
not, I just
Yeah,
thought it was something cool that I've never been able to do, and I'm pretty sure 98% of whoever's listening to this has never had a chance to do. And the beard looks good. It looks like you got it trimmed up, so I wanted to compliment that.
I did. I went to a place here in town. I'm gonna give a shout out to, if that's all
Ooh,
right.
shout out.
Named Comb Over. And I told that to somebody, and they're like, that's a really generic name. No, it's actually a really cool place. Here in Hastings, a small business called Comb Over, run by a guy named Scott, does a fantastic job. I've never been to almost said restaurant. Food's always on my mind.
I was gonna say, if you say you've never been to a restaurant, I'm calling bullshit.
Yeah, never been to it. Well, in fact, I've got a bag of Arby's just sitting right here.
He has the meats.
I had the meats. They're now coagulated inside of me. Did he say in sodomy? So I went to Comb Over, and they do a great job. But I've never been to a barber where he does the straight razor shave here,
Yeah,
and then the straight razor shave under here. And he did a great job because he missed my mole, because I was worried about that. Anyway, and then does the straight razor shave on the neck, and like I got the full like hot towel treatment. I felt like I was in a spa.
dude, I had the hot towel last time, and it was so fucking hot. Like, I didn't want to be a bitch. Like, it was, and I don't know how hot it was the first time I've really had the hot towel treatment. And and it's my buddy Oren. He slapped that on there, and I was just like, play it cool, don't cry, don't be a bitch, don't be a bitch. And then finally, like, it absorbed in. I was like, take that off. It's like, and we were recording it because I told him, I was like, hey, I'm gonna throw this on the internet if you want. He runs his business. It's not like open to the public. He kind of runs it. It's a club. He's just kind of doing this. It's his passion and stuff like that. So he runs it as a club. So only certain people can get in or whatever. So I'm like, I'm going to put this out there, whatever. Isn't that the one video that gets like 500,000 views? And I'm like, you're fucking famous now, bud. Everybody's going to be knocking on your door. But yeah, the hot towel was in the straight red. So shout out Scott. Scott, if you ever want some Copper John's product, I'll send you a sample. But
yeah, he does a great job, and I always go back to him. And yes, this weekend we had a concert series in Kearney, which is about 50 minutes away from me, and got to announce for a couple bands. One of them was Hallie Kearns, which is an up-and-coming star from Missouri, lives in Nashville. And then another one is somebody who's a lot more famous, has been around for a while, Jared Neiman, both country stars, and they do a very good job. Got to go on the tour bus and meet with Jared, and just a down-home everyman, just a real cool dude.
It's awesome.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun.
What a cool experience. Yeah, and was it hosted or sponsored by your place of employment, or?
Yeah, they were the presenting sponsor. So there's a bunch of smaller sponsorships. They're not as cool as us. But yeah, it was a real cool event, and glad to be a part of it.
That's awesome. No, that's cool, man. And we are looking and listening to a dart tournament champion. You've been Whakinov was like, hey, I got a dart tournament. I think I got a chance to win this shit. And then I got that message. Yeah, I won that shit.
Yeah, it was a little odd. It was in a very small town, and it's where my father-in-law usually hangs out. So he was apparently speaking very highly of me and my brother-in-law about how good we were. And it was pretty much like a movie. We walked in, and we almost felt like we weren't welcome. Like the music practically stopped, and we're like, "Hi, everybody, how you doing?" And they're like, "What the you ain't?"
Was it Roth?
No. This was I don't know if you ever heard of Skidmore. It's pretty close to that. It's actually, yeah. So I was pretty close to Skidmore.
Skidmore. Shout out to the Yorktown podcast. We just did a whole episode. You should listen to it. But to recap it, why don't you give them the three? There was a town bully, fucked up story. There was an abduction, and then there was actually a woman that pretended to be somebody else to buy a dog, killed a soon-to-be mom, cut out the baby of her stomach, cut the baby out of the stomach, and actually was going to try to raise the baby as her own. All three of those happened in Skidmore, Missouri.
So crazy place to be around. And so we're within like 10 minutes away from this town now, just hanging out. And we start off with a warm-up game, and this guy throws a hat trick, which, if you're unfamiliar with darts, is 3 bullseyes. So usually pretty impressive. To where they looked right at us, they're like, "Yeah." Looking at me, I'm like, "Damn, stare down. Okay, good shot. Fuck you." So I go over there and I hit a bull, and then a triple 20, which is essentially 10 more points than what he just did, and is a little bit harder to do. And the board makes a big display, and like little fireworks go off on it and everything. Yeah. And to where I look back at him, I go, I just didn't say anything. I just nodded and was like, "Hey man, good darts." And he's just like, you just hit that. You didn't even say a fucking thing. God damn it. So they started like getting pissed off, realizing that we do this shit a lot, But
What do you play for a game? Is it 301, 501? Is it different games? Cricket?
This one was a little different. So they started off with 301, and then if you moved into the winners bracket, it went to 501, and the championship, whenever it reached that point, was 1101.
Ooh, shit.
Yeah, long fucking games. But yeah,
You got a
it was.
strategy when you're going like 301, 501? Do you try to knock out a bull or two in 20s? Because for me, I'm not a great dart player, but I always go for that like 17, 19, because I feel like sometimes if I miss a 17, I can trickle into the 19 or vice versa,
So when 301, the goal is in a perfect world is to be able to do it in 6 darts. So you start off with a hat trick with hitting 3 bullseyes, and then you go bull, triple 17, which is that 51 spot. That's the perfect game if you can do that. Very hard to do that. But yeah, no, my goal is starting off bullseyes, trying to get it lower. If it's an odd number, I'm hitting the 19s or 17s just to try to break it up to where I can double out or whatever. But these people were weird. It was like Hills Have Eyes type of shit. They were against us. I had one lady literally screaming at me as I'm throwing. She's like screaming my name, and I'm just kind of like, what the fuck? Who does? I mean, literally right on the dart line. I'm just sitting there looking at the board, and she's like, "You're not gonna do shit." I mean, right here. I'm just like, oh my God. Finally, one of the guys over there was like, "Hey, don't do that shit. Like, you wouldn't do that for anybody else. Like, don't do that to them. What are you doing?" Eventually won over the entire crowd. I ended up beating my brother-in-law. Didn't even show I was sober, and so this bar, which I guess I don't know if it's common with you guys, but they give the DD free sodas for the entire evening, which I was kind of like, "Oh, okay, cool." Usually I have to pay $1 for my drinks or whatever, but I didn't have to pay anything.
I have to
And
admit, I haven't been to a bar around here where I've seen a DD, so
well, that too. So, but I was the DD, so I got free Sprites all night. So I was like, hell yeah, there we go. If you do hit a hat trick, you get a coin for a free beer. So I had 6 free.
wow.
I just saw that dust thing go across my screen again. But
Oh, dust. Yeah, dust.
it's got it. This one. It was just a flake. So either that or it's dandruff coming off from my hat or something. I don't know what it is, but they'll give you like a little wooden nickel for a free drink, and I'm like,
Hell yeah.
okay. So I had 6 of those. So my father-in-law drank for free the entire night, pretty much too. So he's like, "Go up there and do that shit again." And I'm like, "I got you. I got you."
Got you.
But there was a weird guy there that eventually he was like, "Hey, he was talking about mushrooms." So I'm like, "Ooh, I like mushrooms too." And he goes, "I doubt we're talking about the same mushroom." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, we're probably not." He goes, "I'm talking about psychedelics." I'm like, "Oh shit, we are talking about the same mushroom." And I was like, "Okay." So he's like, "Do you want to step in my truck? I got some shit." And I'm like, "This is how people usually get abducted. I'm
Mhm.
in. Let's go."
But you're probably too old to be abducted and
and
not rich enough. Yeah,
I'm not as easy to grab. I'm not as maneuverable,
Mhm.
Granted, I won't put up much of a fight. I'm too lazy. I'm just like, whatever. Where we gotta go? Back here? Okay. Can I wear my seatbelt? Thanks. But he goes over and he's like, "Hey, do you wanna smoke a J?" And I'm like, okay. Usually the girth of this is about the equivalent of a cigarette, maybe a little bit larger. Okay. This motherfucker came back to twice the size of a fucking cigar. Okay, and I go, God damn. He's like, "I got moon rocks in this thing wrapped in some resin and with this, and this, and pretty much everything combined to one was in this thing." And I'm like, "Oh dear God, I'm over my head." Oh no. And he goes, "A lot of people usually can't keep up with me." And I'm like, and he has 6 roaches in his ashtray that are the size of these fucking cigar things. And I'm like, and his car
Holy,
smells like Pepe Le Pew's been having an orgy in there. Like it is just, it's
what a
rough.
weird flex.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there just going like, "Okay, okay." And he's sitting there smoking this thing, and he hands it to me, and I'm like, I keep doing it, and then he's like, "All right, well, I'm done. You're certainly feeling it now too." So I take 6 more puffs while I look into this guy's fucking soul to kind of just be like, "Hey, not only do I throw some damn good darts, I can smoke as well. Let's do this." I catch up with this guy 30 minutes later. He's outside on a parking bench with his hands in his face. And then he did tell me too. He goes, I took a handful of shrooms before I got here. And I go, that's what's up, He's like, sweet. So he's sitting there just doing this. And I'm like, hey man, are you good? I was like, are you having a bad trip? And he just goes and just is rocking back and forth outside. And I'm like, oh, dude. So he was out there a good 20, 25 minutes just having the worst trip of his life.
God damn. That's
So
what he gets for bragging. Most people can't keep up with me.
I immediately didn't like the guy after he said that. I'm just kind of like, dude, whatever. If you smoke, you smoke. You don't have to brag about how much you smoke or anything. I was just kind of like, hey, just oh, you smoke? That's cool. Let's go do that. And I offered him my pen too. And he started coughing really heavily with my pen. And I'm like, you smoke a lot, do you? And I was like, okay, all right, whatever. But kudos for him for sharing. I do appreciate that.
What a great guy.
It helped me get first place. I owe a little bit to him.
I was gonna say that's pretty impressive to be consuming that much and still focus in on the darts. Like I feel it's kind of cliche to say because I think almost every single dart player says this, and you've probably heard it. I'm better when I'm buzzed, and I'm the same way. Like I'm okay, completely sober. Once I hit that happy threshold, I throw fairly to mediocre for my standards, not like your
Right.
and then
Right.
when that, then I fucking am terrible.
There's a certain sweet spot, which used to be for me was about 2 or 3 Jaeger bombs and the equivalent of my other stuff. And because it's all a mental thing as well. Because I know what I can throw at home, and I'm like, oh, I can have a pretty good round. And then I go to the bar in these tournaments or whatever, and sometimes I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? And I'm just in my head. So I will either sometimes take a shot, or if I'm DD, just hit my pin real quick. Much of a DD, out there just hitting up a guy with shrooms in his car and stuff like that. But,
because how much of it is really just, like you said, mental? How much of it is allow me to let my inhibitions away and allow me not to be thinking too much and just be feeling and relying on muscle memory and relying on what I know, and that's just fucking throw.
And that's what it is, because a lot of these guys too, like I hate to get the topic on darts so much. Sorry, it's whenever they throw. So a lot of the guys, whenever they throw, they look at the edge of their thumb or the back of the flight to kind of like aim where they're going. I don't do that. I literally just get up to the line and I look. I'm like, okay, I need to hit a 17. And I'm just looking at that 17. And then I'll have the dart to my side and I just put it up and throw it. These guys are sitting there just for a minute aiming every single. I don't do that. So I don't know if it's, like you said, it's like a muscle memory thing. I throw really fast. So I'm like 1, 2, 3, because I'm like in the same spot in a groove. Those guys don't. I'm like, throw your fucking dart. Jesus Christ. I'm like, we're going to be here all goddamn day. They're just, and they still miss by like 3 numbers. I'm like, I'm so glad that we waited for that aim. Thank you so much. But
it's like in golf where the guy takes 4,000 practice swings and then fucking hits it 20 feet in front of you. Yeah.
Yes. I probably on the entire course will maybe take 1 or 2 swings just because I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Now, do I joke every time? Like, all right, this one's going out in the trees, because it sets that expectation. And if you hit a good one, everyone's like, look at you. You knew what you were doing the entire time. I'm like, I know. But if it goes in the tree, they're like, damn, you called it. I'm like, I'm a piece of shit. Just move on.
See, I told you we were going to get into a manlier show. None of us hunt, but fuck, we can talk about Arby's. We can talk about darts. We can talk about, all that manly stuff. So, but you had an interesting conversation, and I don't know if you were buzzed up and wanted to talk about it then and still want to. And I feel like this is a conversation that could maybe save the whole manliness thing or could really gross out some viewers. I'm cool with either.
So so there was a conversation, and I apologize for this in advance, but this kind of struck me off guard as well. We came over into this room to practice before we left for the bar, and it's me, my brother-in-law, and a friend, and he also throws darts with us every once in a while. But he's sitting there talking. He's like, "Oh, I got some. I met a girl at one of these bars," and I'm like, "Ooh, I think I know who you're talking about. There's usually only one girl that throws from that bar. Was it this person?" And he goes, yeah, it was. I'm like, oh shit. How was the evening? And he goes, oh, dude, it was pretty good. She ended up, going down on me, and then I saw it again too. Yeah.
Did you see the ghost, Brandon? Do you see that?
It's like these little it's like a dust bunny or something. I don't know what it is. But so anyways, he's saying that, hey, she's given the old beeger, and she moves down south and proceeds to eat his butthole. And he didn't act like he was upset that that happened or anything. So we're just kind of like, and my brother-in-law was getting ready to throw his like second dart, and he goes, "Hold up, what?" And so he goes, "Yeah, man." She was down there and just went straight for it. And we're like, "Is there like a sentence that you say to work somebody up to that? Like, how do you migrate from there to there?" I feel like there's a part of the story that we're skipping. And he goes, "Well, no." He's like, "She just kind of just went, hmm?" And he's like, "Yeah, did it." Kind of like the Tom Segura thing. He goes, "I just kind of gave her the nod and she did it." And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "Yeah, I haven't texted her since." I'm like, "Well, when the fuck was this?" He goes, "This was about a week ago." I was like, "You let a poor woman eat your butthole and you didn't even give her the grace to give her a fucking text the next day." And he's just like, "Yeah, well, she kept the lights on when she did it." And I was like,
She threw my legs back.
So she did. He's not a small boy either, you know. So he's sitting there with legs up, I guess, trying to do his thing while she's down there. And he's like, "The lights were on." He's like, "I couldn't finish. It was weird." And I was like, "So is that?" And so he mentions 2 or 3 other people who have also had a similar meal with him. And I'm just like, damn, okay, what the fuck? Now I know all these people. A lot of them they have kids in my kids' classes. I'm never gonna look at them the same anymore.
So
But
he has more people that were eating his ass, or
yes,
more people that she ate their ass, or a combination of both, probably.
he never mentioned eating that meal. Only them eating, you know, his box. But the so yeah, so he's talking about all these different people who have done it to him, and then he mentioned a couple other people who have done it with their spouses, and I'm just sitting there going, again, not a single drink had been had. I'm like, where the fuck is this even coming from? What? And
He's
so the
got
entire
this is like a mental health clinic for him, I feel.
yeah, and so like we don't know if he was just trying to flex at first. He's like, "Yeah, you know, she ate my ass." And we're just like, okay. I don't know where these things are coming from. You saw the little speck again. It's just I don't know what the fight is. But yeah, so he was mentioning that and we progressed throughout the night. We're like, hey, you know, we kept asking more questions. We're like, so do you have like a radar for this? Can you judge in this room right now of these other people, all these different women, who eats ass and who doesn't? And he's like, oh yeah, you can tell. And I'm like, how the fuck can you tell? I don't know. He's like, you kind of have like a spidey sense for it. And I was like, what are some of the questions? He's like, it's different for each people. He goes, you just kind of have to feel it out. And he goes, it's just there's a specific set of steps. And he goes, usually if they don't make it past 3, you automatically know and you disengage. And I'm like, so is that do you just stop engaging with that woman entirely? Or do you just be like, okay, this woman doesn't eat ass, I'll just settle? He goes, yeah, you just settle. And I'm like, okay. And then he ended the night with saying, he goes, you know what? If I could be gay, I would. And I was like, some of the
I
stuff's
mean,
starting
he
to add up a
could.
little bit. So I
I
was
mean, he
like,
could, right?
well, I was like, well, what do you mean? He goes, well, when you go golfing, do you like to go golfing with the missus or do you like going golfing with the boys? And I'm like, with the boys usually, yeah. But I was like, I feel like you do different things with your friends than you do with your spouse. Like you're not out there fucking your friends, you know? So, and he's just like, no, no, no. He's like, just think about it. Come home. You could wear like the same shirts and shit. He's sitting there naming off all this. And I'm just sitting there going, what the fuck is going on here?
I
So
feel like that was his top feeler out there to say, hey, any interest in eating my ass? Like,
So, I mean, you know me, I mentioned it several times, and I even made I usually say that's usually my joke too, is either like, "Fuck off," and I go, "Eat my ass," you know? And so I mentioned that, and my brother-in-law Tyson was like, and and Blair's like, "Nah, nah, I'm not." He's like, I'm more of a recipient. I'm not interested." And I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like,
interesting.
but yeah,
Hmm.
so, I figured out that that is a widely more open thing in my small town, and practically about 40% of the community, has had their ass eaten by at least one female in this area too, which again, the Halloween party that her and I are chaperoning for the 3rd grade class is gonna be fucking weird.
You know, there's not many women in Tarkio, Missouri, buddy.
Especially ones that play darts.
I know. So that one, and this girl is just poor girl. She has like kind of like a bunched up nose and everything.
Mhm.
And so there, and he mentioned, he goes, man, she has a perfect nose for eating ass.
Perfect nose for eating ass. Huh.
Oh shit. But yeah,
Interesting. I
so
mean, I feel like eventually we gotta get him buzzed up or get him on the show so we can ask some questions. Just like the foot fetish, you know, we started on Tuesday. What a weird week, I guess, for us. Tuesday we really got into talking about on Triple T the foot stuff and how none of us are a big fan of the foot stuff, but there's certain people, and Yuban, I think, made the suggestion that the foot people should be on some kind of registry to help out other foot people, and that way, if you're seeing this person that's on the registry and you're trying on some flip-flops and stuff in the store and they're getting a little weird and excited about it, But I didn't realize, I guess there was a radar for the ass eaters, and that's an aggressive move, is it not, for a first date or first encounter or first hookup? Like, I feel like that's pretty extreme. I mean, granted, it's been a long time since I've been in the single game, but it seems like a pretty aggressive first date, first move, right?
Well, and apparently she tried kissing him afterwards, and that's kind of where he drew the line too. So I mean, I did forget about that, but yeah, just
So wouldn't ass eaters have, and this is my take on it, I mean, wouldn't ass eaters want to keep like a bottle of mouthwash or some shit by the bed? You know what I mean? Like, they just eat your ass, she wants to kiss, like, hey, just and they say spitters are quitters, but you don't want to chug some scope.
and his diet is not the best. I drive him home from darts a lot, and I mean he's doing the whole 40 nugget deal, and like on the Wendy's, the 4 for $4 thing that they got going on, he gets 3 of those.
So does he go into the night prepared to have his ass eaten, or does he just ride out the all night? Like, I feel like at this point he's a veteran and getting his ass eaten. I bet you he does. Like, you didn't ask if he preps it all.
No,
Like,
I
cleans
guess
it before, shaves it at all, bleaches it, waxes it. On YouTube, I guess it's okay to show educational stuff about buttholes being waxed and seeing male member parts and stuff, but heaven forbid that you put content that you create on other social medias on your YouTube. So if you guys are doing that stuff, you might want to watch out. YouTube doesn't like that.
But it's I don't know. I mean, like we didn't ask, how he prepares it for her or anything like that. But this was right after the bar, and I know how he eats, I know how he drinks, so that was not, unless maybe he has an emergency thing of baby wipes.
Mm-hmm.
He might, but it's still then I don't feel like that's gonna do enough justice for. I don't know. And just the lights being on too, I'm already self-conscious enough. I'm not going to have my knees touching my ears and having some poor girl's eyes just staring into my soul. Nope. No,
I feel like that's a very unnatural pose for men. Like, women, when they go to appointments and stuff. I mean, we've had kids. We're all adults here. They do some stuff to these women at their exams. I've had my prostate checked before, and it was not lay down, feet up. It's, hey, gonna need you to turn around and
hunch over.
breathe for a minute, bud. I mean, and then it's just weird. What's the old joke when all of a sudden you feel the pressure and he claps or something like that, or he shows two hands. It's not something in there, but
And so apparently not only is our buttholes getting eaten, but I got to learn a lot of people who enjoy getting pegged. And I'm not kink shaming anybody, but
nope.
There's just a lot of certain individuals that live on the same gravel road as me. And I was kind of like, damn, you learned something. And they were at the birthday party yesterday, or at least the lady was. And so my wife came up to me and she's like, all I can think about is her just swinging around and having an 11-inch hammer on her now. And I'm like, and some of the things that she says now, you're kind of like, okay, how you are. Yeah, I can see this now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's no different than the Missouri teacher. Apparently, that was somewhat near. No, this person was south, right?
Yeah, they were
more north,
more towards the Rolla area.
I'm gonna let Brandon. Brandon looks like he really has some stuff in there. And then I heard the updates on this Missouri teacher, some stuff that because she was interviewed by Josh Terry.
I had a friend, is all I'll say. I had a friend who had a girl friend who was fucking nuts. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she pointed to and said in a conversation, flat out said, "Can I peg you?" And he said, no, because when we leave, ain't no fucking way that you're telling everybody that you pegged me. Which I think is the right answer. He's the kind of guy that listen, again, no kink sham. You whatever makes you happy, be happy. But he's the kind of guy that doesn't like to settle down, so he kind of jumps around so it was not going to last a long time anyway. So he played it right.
And I feel that it could potentially be dangerous if you aren't into pegging and then you have somebody super into pegging or eating it, and you know what I mean? They just go for it. I mean, you just can't go for it, I would imagine. I mean,
if I'm playing guitar and I plug my amp in, I'm not turning it up to 11, as you did say. Right away, you gotta You know, you gotta start with one before you go like this. You know what I mean?
That's the thing is I'm just afraid, if I were to be like, you know what, let's try this. They're like, hey, so one time, pegged Yuban and he shit all over the bed. That's what I'm afraid of. I have a terrible gut. I don't think I can handle it.
That's what you're afraid of, is accidentally shitting? Of all of the things that could happen?
I mean, mixed in with the blood probably that's going to be in there and everything else too. Yeah. The
No,
pain, the shit.
this is how it's gonna work for you. They're gonna be like, all right, we're gonna try putting this object in there. I don't know. I was thinking fruit or something. Where something's gonna break off in your asshole. That's gonna be your luck. There's not gonna be shit. There's not gonna be blood. There's gonna be an ER trip, and there's gonna
Oh,
be a surgery of said object. I was gonna say candle, but I didn't want to have any bad vibes going
try,
towards the candle business.
tried it. No, I mean, I'm going to make sure it's a flared base. I'm going to make sure that there's no, and that's a lot of people are like, oh, we got these toys that are glass. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. There's never a shot in hell would I put anything in me that's glass.
Yeah,
Hard
I mean,
pass.
I did see our boy Content Candy that there was a Snapchat story, and if you guys follow him on Snapchat or whatever, there was a glass object that had a basketball hoop on the end of it for
Oh, I
buttons.
love him.
It
love
looked
him.
like a pretty fun thing, but yeah, that's like I said, no judgment there, whatever. But it's just kind of funny too because I was listening to an episode of what was it? Oh, Bert Kreischer has something that he did, and he had Jason Ellis on. And I don't know if you know Jason Ellis. He's an Australian dude, tons of tattoos. He had the Jason Ellis show on Sirius XM, bunch of stuff. He was a professional skateboarder, all that good stuff. Race cars, sang, pretty much has done everything. And again, not that I care or anything, but I didn't realize too that he had recently either gone gay or I think he's bisexual now. So they were kind of talking about some stuff like that. At first they're kind of asking like, was it that awkward transition? You know what I mean? You've been married, you know, with the kids and, you know, the environment, like you kind of have this vibe to you. And then being, you know, a skater, fighter, all this stuff that, you know, is with guys and girls, like, was there that awkward transition? And kind of, he was just kind of like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I've never gave a fuck what they thought or anybody else thought. And to be honest, I've been into the fighting world. So maybe we got a problem. Let's fucking figure it out, you know, kind of thing. Like, but it was just kind of brought up because, and maybe it's because we're a little bit older, you know, it wasn't, you know, what it is today. Not that we have any, you know, we don't care if you are, but when we were younger, like there wasn't a lot of people that would openly come out and say, you know, whether they were adults, you know, kids in the schools and stuff like that, where now it's thankfully for everybody, it's more socially acceptable. And to have a guy that is in the limelight and has been a bunch of stuff, whether it's Hollywood or Australian and stuff like that, you know, 50 years old, saying, I don't give a fuck what you think. And I feel like people shouldn't give a fuck.
Exactly. No, it's I do find it's amazing how accepting it is, even in the smaller communities where I live. You know, you would think it wouldn't be as accepting, and it's awesome. I'm really impressed with the community that I have that with students who have come out because again you didn't see a lot of that back in the day to where they didn't feel comfortable enough coming out,
Yeah.
especially that early or whatever. But no, I'm just really happy even with my my small town of like 200 people. So they're good
Yeah.
people.
Holy
I mean,
shit,
imagine. Go ahead.
200 people. My God.
Yeah, so the majority of the towns are usually less than 200. I think we have 7 technically towns that go into this one K through 12 school just to be able to.
Wow.
So like the bus routes are massive. It's
I was gonna say it's a long time on a bus for a kid.
so I know whenever I used to get on the bus, it was school started at 8, and I think I got on the bus at like 6:45 whenever I would get there, and we lived 5 miles from the school.
One time I missed the bus, and it was something that I would never ever do again.
Yeah.
No, right? Crisscross.
Oh, I
Remember
didn't hear it. Honestly, it lagged a little bit. You said you missed the
Oh.
bus.
Oh, yeah, I missed the bus. It was something that I would never ever do again.
Now I got
Crisscross.
it.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of those guys back in the day. It was the first concert I ever went to. Was Crisscross.
What year was that?
Probably, fuck, I don't know. I'm really bad at math. I was in like 4th or 5th grade. So whenever, like I said, I can't do math at this point. I've been out of school 20 years, and what's that? Another so 20, let's say 30 years ago.
Okay.
Ish.
Okay.
28, 30 years ago, something. It was, like I said, it was the first one, and we went to the Syracuse State Fairground. That's where the State Fair is in Syracuse, New York, and a lot of people there. and we were primarily the only Caucasian people at this. My mom was fucking terrified to be there. We would, like, you know what I mean? Just my mom and
Yep.
the kid. And Syracuse, some parts of it, and of course it doesn't matter what, but this part of Syracuse where the state fairgrounds is, and then leaving into the parking lots and stuff is pretty rough. And I was just, oof.
I went to a school that was had less than 1% Caucasian kids in middle school, and they had a rapper. I think it was Genuine. It was back. This was like probably 99, 2000 was the year. But he was somewhat popular, and he was doing some school concerts and stuff. And they were throwing one, and so they had like a raffle. I won to be able to go to the concert. They pulled me into the office, and they go, "Hey, this probably isn't the best for you to attend." And I'm like, "The fuck?" You know, I'm like a young kid. I'm like, "I'm going to go to this concert," and they're like, "No. Do you even know who Genuine is?" I was like, "I think so." And they're like, "You don't. You're not going to go." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And for the longest time, I was like, "Man, fuck that school. They robbed me of going to this concert and stuff like that." And then I saw some of the videos of like these concerts. I'm like, "Oh yeah, probably wasn't for me."
He was
like,
dude, he did Pony, right?
I think
That was
so.
his big one.
Yeah. And so again, I don't know if this is before that. If it was either Genuine or somebody else that started with the G, I can't remember. But it was I still to this day it was 6th through 8th grade, and I'm sitting there going, why the fuck was this person at a concert for 6th to 8th graders? I'm still confused, but yeah, didn't get to go. Mrs. Brass took that opportunity away from me. Bitch.
Genuine's parents. Do you know what his real last name is?
He said Genuine. It's Genuine, sir.
Genuine. Yeah.
Genuine.
I'm not one that was going to correct him because obviously I can't say words in English. But his last name is Lumpkin.
Oh, just a B away.
Lumpkin, from Sandra and James Lumpkin. But yeah, he was part of Swing Mob. Do you remember Swing Mob, the group at all?
Was it Juvenile or Genuine? I can't remember.
I mean, those are two much different rappers. Genuine was more R&B, where Juvenile was like, he went hard in the rap.
It was definitely Genuine then.
He did the R&B. Yep. Pony was his big one. I do remember that.
Yep. I'm pretty sure that's who it was.
Let's go with that one. Yep. Elgin B. Lumpkin. Middle initial B.
Which sounds a lot like Blumpkin.
Yes. Baylor Elgin Baylor Lumpkin. B. Lumpkin.
I hope that was on a t-shirt somewhere.
If not, it's about to be. Either way, shout out to that awesome rapper. I should have looked up where he was from, but either way, I didn't. But we're kind of in this weird zone of butt stuff and this and that. So there was a big question that came up on a couple of podcasts, and then I threw it out to some random people just because it's an interesting thing. Thruples. Have you heard about this new thruple thing? I mean, like I said, again, we're not judging if you are in a thruple relationship, but for anybody that doesn't know, it's 3 people in a relationship. Could be, 2 dudes with 1 wife. Could be 1 dude, 2 wives. It's just this whole thing. And it was the Middle of Somewhere podcast with a couple of comedians, Cy and Chad Daniels, and they always kid around about their thruple and how it would work or wouldn't work because they would obviously be sharing a partner. Now that Chad finally has a serious relationship, it was always Cy and Chad with Cy's wife, and they just randomly bring it up. They're like, see, this is why the thruple would never work, because you would expect this and I would expect this, and it's just this whole thing. And I could never be in a thruple, whether it was me and a best friend, in this. I mean, because I'd have to imagine you'd all be living together. Like, would it be cool to be living with your best friend? Yeah. Would it be super cool to be sharing one partner with you and your best friend? Fuck no. Like, do they all sleep in the same bed? So if there's any thruples out there and ass eaters and feet people, we have questions. We want to bring you on for a little bit of our next show.
There are exceptions. There are exceptions to the rule. There probably is an example out there, and we're probably wrong. But we have hard enough time keeping couples together. The divorce rate is through the roof. And not even just the divorce rate, just being with the same person for a long time is fucking tough.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're not just adding in the chemistry between the 2 people, the attraction between the 2 people. you're adding in the evolution of you as a person is different than, I mean, my wife and I met each other 15 years ago. I'm not the same person, and neither is she, both figuratively and literally. I have problems sharing my pizza with my daughter, much less, can I buy you a slice of pizza, Dad? No, get your own fucking slice of pizza. This is my
Can I have the
pizza.
last little Debbie snack? Fuck no.
No.
It's mine.
My point with all that is just to say, I bet you there are not many, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but there are not many examples of thruples lasting for more than 5 years. It is just does not. Have they tried it? Yes. Does it work? No. Have they tried it and does it work for a year? Maybe, but it doesn't last for a long time. Do people have a want to be in a throuple? It would be nice to. It'd be kind of cool. We could split the bills and do this and that. Yeah, I bet. But it's one of those things that probably works better in practice than it does, like the 3-4
Just
defense. I'm kidding.
Googled real quick. 92% failure rate, according to the first thing that Google popped up. Weird, shocker. But the divorce rates, the divorce rates in the U.S., 40 to 50% of first marriages in the U.S. end in divorce. 60 to 67% of second marriages end in divorce.
And that's not me saying couples are better than thruples. It's saying couples have enough fucking problems as it is. You want to try to add another third variable to that fucking equation, it ain't going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they always call that what the because originally it's a couple and another one gets introduced, right? So they call that one the unicorn. That's the what is it? The oh god damn it.
We call
polyamory.
But we call that one the guy that is starting out a part of the couple gets left out for the guy that jumped in at the end.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's either usually the guy will end up leaving with the new girl, or the two girls say adios. Don't need this penis. I don't have the stamina enough to even please one woman, let alone two. So I think I'm gonna be like Shark Tank. I'm out.
Plus, like I said, could you imagine that has to be an easy way to not only kill a relationship, but to kill a friendship. If people really think that me and my buddy, who have been just boys forever, could be in a relationship with one girl. I mean, no way. No fucking way.
I have a person in my life that fuck it. That
I love it.
I saw
Do
that
it.
stall. That do I want that? That's Brandon's big brain just going. Should I?
There was like an angel and a demon. Do it.
that is both
They'll never
blood
hear this
brothers.
episode.
This person is both blood brothers and Eskimo brothers.
Oh,
With the same brother. And no, wait, step further. Not only blood brothers and Eskimo brothers at the same time in a threesome with the brother and another person that was a girl.
Wow.
It's not me. I don't.
No,
I don't even have a blood brother. I have a half blood brother, but we're not full blood.
ooh, the Half-Blood Prince.
Oh,
hey, interesting. So there was clearly a female that had some kind of goal or fetish in life to hook up with brothers.
I've also got additional. Sorry, go ahead, Yuban.
Oh no, I was just saying the Roll Tide Eiffel Tower, but go ahead.
Roll Tide.
There you go. I've also got a cousin who got two sisters pregnant. Not his sisters, two girls pregnant that were sisters. Okay. And so, sounds fun. It's great. Yeah, until the babies are born and they're brother-sister cousins.
Yeah.
So they're half brother and sister cousins.
Imagine how pissed off that dad had to be or has to be.
The grandpa, the grandma. I mean, like how fucked up the family is now. I mean, those kids can't go to the same school. I mean, yeah.
That's my brunkle.
There is. In the smaller the town, the bigger the confusion is with some of these, brother, sister, these relationships, because you see this shit all the time. Like where my wife's from, some of the stories, like she tries to explain this stuff like it's normal. She's like, well, this person, this. And I'm like, what? No, seriously. So it's just this. And I'm like, I just look at her and I'm just like, small town shit. I mean, you're small. We've all lived in small towns, and there's only so many options. And I feel like that potentially could be why divorce rates are a little bit higher as well, because you have some of these people that are in this town, they're born in this town, raised in this town, and they get married to people in this town. Like there's a lot of fucking people in this world. To think that the one is in the same area that you live and grew up in and been in your whole life, like that's That's some weird math and some shit that I didn't think
Speaking
about
of,
till right now.
what about the math of did the divorce rate in the southern states go up after the 23andMe or whatever the DNA test was? Is there a correlation to see when the rates go they go up
Did
for
the
the
rates
divorce
go
rate?
up, or
They have
or
to.
did it save the relationship knowing that they're related?
I
Well,
mean,
And
I
how
mean
many families realize, oh, Grandpa was hopping fences? Grandpa had 2 families. Grandpa didn't,
I personally
we weren't
know
even the main family. We were the second family.
I personally know of at least 3 people that have found that they have had another brother, sister, I mean, somebody that close because of this, like, 23andMe or whatever it is when they find out this stuff that and I mean, it is almost game changing for some of these families to be like you said, grandpa had some shit going on.
That's when you know Grandpa had the hammer. You know what I mean? Just spreading that dick around like a wildfire. Just
And they weren't gonna get caught back, like, he's probably like, "I have 7 kids, they only know about 6 of them, well, this one, we didn't know about," but it's like, I'm never getting caught. This shit's going down in the 20s, 30s, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, 100 years later, they're probably like, "You motherfuckers," and that's why ghost hauntings are higher than they've ever been. 23andMe is causing all of these ghost problems because Grams and they're like, now they're fighting, in the afterlife. "You son of a bitch, you can't kill me. Ethel, I'm already fucking dead."
so that is crazy to think about. Is just if I could go back in time before somebody can know my address, like, what's your address? Can't figure that shit out. Good luck mailing me a letter. Margaret will never know that you just got dicked down by the dick down bandit. See you later.
That's what you're gonna go with. You're gonna go through the Great Depression and just create so many kids with but back then you got to think of this point too. They're gonna just fucking shoot you and bury you or feed you to the pigs. I mean, you're fucking with my family. You're fucking with my cattle. You're fucking dead.
Perfect job back then. Traveling salesman.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Vacuum said,
you could literally just tell your wife, look, I am on a long 3-week trip, and you go stay with your other family.
Feel like a
I feel like
Kirby
people
vacuum
still do
salesman.
that today.
What's that?
People do still do that. I was thinking like you can just be like a Kirby vacuum salesman of the day, or a Hoover. They can just give you the Who.
My wife has me on Life 360. She knows where I'm at all times. Oh, you went to McDonald's today for lunch, huh?
Life 360. What is that? I really don't know.
This is not a promotion of the app, but it's a decent.
No, I mean, yeah, like I said, I mean, if it was a promotion for the app, we would have done it in the first 5 minutes. Let's be honest.
It started as a you're a parent, you want to know where your teens are at all times, so you can kind of point out where they are. Like, okay. I can zoom in and I can see on my street where my wife is right now. I can go to another one. I've got a whole bunch of friends all over the United States, and I can. So
it's kind of like the Snapchat map, but you pay. And
you can see them moving and how fast they're going and everything else. Yeah. So, but I don't care. I'm not hiding anything from my wife. I don't give a shit. But it's nice to know when I'm like, hey, I'm with my first daughter who's like, where's mommy? She's never coming back. And I'm like, she's just at the store. It's going to be okay. Oh, she jumped in her car. It shows the car is moving. She's going to be home in 5 minutes. Calm down, honey. It's good for that kind of stuff. And, if the wife does want to know, hey, did you go to Arby's today? Did you go to McDonald's? I noticed that you're down there at the bar, Brandon. You're at the cigar bar.
Right. It's been a day. It's been a fucking day.
But there ain't none of that for me. So I can't. There ain't no. I'm a traveling salesman story.
Right. The milkman. There has to be. If that's still a thing, like you guys must hear it still. I don't know. Like, hey, my kid, it's the milkman, and I just look at him. I'm like, when the fuck is the last time have there been milkmen? You know what I mean? Like. Is that and the other thing that always drives me nuts is people are still like, oh, did you videotape that? No, I recorded it from my fucking phone. I don't have a tape anymore.
Oh,
I don't know why that triggers me. You videotape that?
I say that a lot. I say videotape. That is. I will say that is one of my things for sure. Now I'm going to purposely say it even more.
Fair enough. It's not like I've been working on it. I go to therapy now, and we're getting those out of there. But yeah, it's just I don't know the milkman thing. I mean, like I said, when's the last time there's been a fucking milkman? But hey, I bet you the milkman they were laying they were delivering more than a milk. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No. And have you guys invested into the 151 Pokemon yet? Is your
no, I don't know. God.
I think I mentioned last. It's like the 25th anniversary of the original Pokemon. So I don't know any of the other new ones that came out. I only know the ones from whenever I was a kid. So it's the 25th anniversary of when they released the original 151. So my kids have gotten me into it even more, to where they've been pulling some good card shit. So
Well,
that's you guys probably don't know them now, since you guys don't know. If I'm going to show them to you, you guys don't even know them, so I'm not even going to show them to you. But I pulled some two really good ones, and one of
we'll
them.
tell the viewer. Don't leave the. I tell you what,
Oh.
this is what we'll do. If anybody's listening, go over to the patreon.com/beardlaws, and we'll take a picture of these Pokemons. And while we're sitting there, it's been scrolling the whole time. Forgot to change it, but shout out to our 4 Patreon members. We got Jim, we got Kush Kelly, we got Logan, and Tatum Productions over there. But what I did too on the Patreon is people, I don't need or necessarily want you to go spend all of your hard-earned money. So now Patreon made it easier. You can be a Patreon subscriber, see some of the content for free. So we have a free level as well. You're not going to see all of the stuff because there's certain tiers. But you can see a lot of the stuff, and we'll post the Pokemon one for free. So if you want, just come on over and hang out. You know what I mean? You don't have to pay. You don't have to pay to play here. Just to circle back, sorry about the Pokemon, but I just Googled something about milkmen, and I just want to give a shout out to Marty the Milkman. Okay, he did his last delivery 2022. There was still a fucking milkman delivery, and this was from Syracuse.com. 4 decades, Marty the Milkman was delivering quarts of milk, cartons of eggs, sticks of butter to his customers.
Holy shit.
So more or less, he was still doing this, but it was through Wegmans, which is a store down that way, apparently. But he wasn't going to try to cry over his last delivery of milk was their thing. So well played, because there's no need to cry over spilt milk. But yeah, fucking 40 years, Marty the Milkman was doing deliveries.
So that's what's crazy to think about, even is the fact that he started in the 80s. You know, you think of the milkman, you think of like 50s, 60s type of shit. You know what I mean? So to think that he even started it in the 80s is that's what's
apparently
wild.
Yeah, apparently home milk deliveries died out in the 90s.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so it's kind of crazy. He started whenever it wasn't like starting in Blockbuster in 2000. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was the deregulation of the milk industry, which I didn't there. Now supermarkets and other stores were permitted to sell milk, which started really with the decline of it. What a fucking educational show we are.
But those got milk ads, bro. Saved the milk industry or whatever, right? Isn't that what it is? Every time I was in school, I saw every celebrity with a milk mustache.
Yep.
And now every time I even stare at a glass of milk, I shit myself. What of a turn.
And now you go to the bar, and said people have chocolate milk mustaches.
Sometimes they're nutty.
On that note, I just looked at the clock, and we've done over an hour. So we'll go ahead and say our goodbyes. Make sure you guys check him out on all the social medias. Brandon J. McDermott. He's everywhere. Go check it out. And you've been whacking off, still whacking off. And they got a candle business, W&K Candle Creations. Did I say it right?
WK Candles and Gifts. Close.
Fuck, I was way off. But we did find a website that potentially we could start to work in. That's available.
Hell yeah.
Either way, check him out on obviously BrandonJMcDermott.com. Go buy his book, Abandoned Brandon. You've been whackinoff.com. We got some stuff happening very soon. By we, I mean him. I'm just going to assist. He's going to do all the hard work once I turn it over there. So
hopefully some samples next week. Whoop, whoop.
Wait, we're gonna talk offline real quick, Brandon, of these samples if you haven't heard yet. I think you'll be excited about them.
Absolutely.
But either way, can't thank you guys enough. Obviously, you too, and if anybody's still listening for whatever reason, appreciate it as well. Check out the Patreon if you want. Check out these guys though. That's the main focus. And shout out to I don't know if I should say his name, but my phone's been going fucking nuts real quick. And this person, I'm assuming it's spam. I have 27 notifications of an order that has failed. So somebody is trying to buy a 2x2 Beard Law 155 sticker, apparently for $1.72. Tried 27 times. It's failed. If you're listening to this, your first name is Gary, shoot me an email. I will send you. Please stop trying to buy. I don't know what's going on your end. I don't think it's the website, but I will send you a 2x2 sticker of Beard Law 155. Please stop trying to, or use PayPal or something, because you're trying to use a credit card that's clearly not working. 27 notifications. So thank you, Gary. It's appreciated, but I'm going to send you a goddamn sticker. So, all right, that's all I got. We'll see you guys next week. Check out Triple T, Yuban will not be there, but we'll maybe try to work in a guest. And yeah, that's all we got. You guys got anything else?
No, I don't believe so.
All right. Shout out Marty the Milkman. We appreciate you. So, all right. See you next week.